Well, we made it, folks. 2023 is officially here. And with our recap and review of every character refresh of 2022 behind us, it's now time to do the exact same for all the content updates of the year, which, surprisingly, shouldn't take long, as the game was rather lacking in this regard, honestly. Still, truth be told, the two major releases offered incredible implications for the future, all the while them quality of life tweaks casually went and changed the game forever, so I suppose quantity doesn't matter, eh? Something many of you have been attempting to tell me for ages at this point. But you know what else feels like a million years ago? Last January. The month that also just so happened to have kicked everything off with the year of the Catcoon here. Now, like most of these Chinese New Year events, the content itself was small and self-explanatory, but also like most year of events themselves, the thing had quite the influence on both our worlds as a whole and the highlighted mob of the year, Catcoons. Catcoon dens became renewable for the first time ever. Said stumps now offered us the ability to rummage through them, a mechanic that I myself completely forgot about until today. The feline beast began carrying what they picked up instead of yeeting it out of existence, and much more. But as for the events activities themselves, we saw the introduction of 9 fresh followers, 10 if you count Tycoon, new decorations, a Catcoon nursery for fun and play, and then some. But as an added bonus still, Tycoon was and is essentially the best mapper in the entire game now due to his Catcoon locating mechanics. It was good stuff. Short, sweet, and cute. What more can you ask for after another year of dealing with the fallout of the previous 2 years? But I will warn you, even though I got not much else to say about it, if you do keep this update on moving forward, something that we're able to do from another content update of this year, just know that your deciduous biomes are probably going to be filled with red pouches, and it's going to make your game lag like crazy. But you know what else needed to come with the warning? The March quality of life updates. No exaggeration, this thing changed anything and everything, and did so almost without care. Not only did it house what would become the final rework of Wolfgame's rework, which in and of itself is a pretty big deal, this was also the release of the Ancient Guardian refresh, Varglets, major craft tweaks and material adjustments, a bundle of fresh world settings, a new mob drop or two, and oh yeah, that revamped crafting menu that we're all still getting used to for Pete's sake. And that's just counting the initial release for Pete's sake. Toss in the additional hotfixes and you'll suddenly remember that we got crafting from chests in this update. How certain prototypers can now actually prototype stuff, so we don't have to constantly return to them for the simplest of things, and oh so much more. Seriously, people, I'm going to go out on a limb of sorts and label this the biggest update that Don't Starve Together that we have ever seen, given the context. And heck, it could very likely stay as such moving forward, just given how much it did for the gameplay experience. And to drive that point home and give this segment one last punch, I'm just going to read the list of changes because I don't think anything better can do this thing justice. The crafting UI change and everything that came with it, pin recipes, filters, the search bar, ease of access to exclusive crafts, and more, the Wolfgang rework of a rework that was already a rework of the initial rework, the Ancient Guardian refresh, 2 new phases, better loot, easier fight, but more dynamic fights. We had the world setting changes and additions. All events became toggleable at one time, which is absolutely massive, people. Hound wave tweaks. We had turning off roads, duplicating worlds, cloud saves, Deerclops' directional attack, also major. Varglets were introduced in the Hound waves. A new mob in a quality of life updates, crafting from chest, building materials via the menu even if we're not on the actual material we're trying to build, stacking on the mouse, 3 absolutely incredible quality of life tweaks, holding the mouse for repeated actions, certain refinements moving to the alchemy engine, certain items being prototyped forever as alluded to, lures, floats, and turf pretty much, certain seafaring items becoming available immediately, oars and boat patches, desert goggles being easier to fish out because fashion goggles and potted succulents are not in the Oasis leg anymore. The cost of boat patches, mud turf, cobblestones, the clean sweeper, the seaweed, potted ferns, and succulents all reduced. Cookie cutter drop rate increased. huge. All turf fuel value, reduced, but turf now stacks to 20, and we get 4 turf per craft, the Malbatross beak durability buff, the seed packet buff, also the insulated pack, they don't burn anymore, and the seeded packet is now essentially a fridge for all seeds, and wave attacks, both Hound and Depthworm, had their frequency reduced overall. Unreal. Insanity. But you know what I've heard about Insanity, everyone? That its true form is doing the exact same thing over and over again, expecting things to change. And while Quay, and myself for that matter, could absolutely be accused of doing so ourselves with a select couple of these yearly events, at least the Midsummer Cawnival here, and its second year, saw the addition of 3 new games, a mess of fresh prizes, better decor options, and plenty more interactions with them Crow kids overall. That said, I really wouldn't be surprised if any recollection you had of Corvus and his traveling murder circus had flown to Coop well before this update had even ended at the end of the day. Now, I like the Midsummer Cawnival. I like its colors, I like its sounds, I like its feels, and what it does set out to accomplish, it accomplishes very well. But when it's pitted against actual content updates, let's say, it kind of just gets lost among the hype. You know, sometimes Quay just does too good of a job at teasing what's potentially coming next. And trust me, what's actually coming next might even overshadow all of that March quality of life nonsense we were just spouting. Because when you go and show the community a set of pirate monkeys with the release of a one-off yearly update, no one bloody cares about the one-off yearly update anymore. And when said teaser image eventually turns into an actual set of swashbuckling apes, complete with their own damn island, now available to explore by said community, how can you expect them to care about anything else from there on out? But folks, it's time. The Curse of Moonkey time. Having covered this release from top to bottom, left to right, and everywhere in between, I imagine the majority of you out there already know how important the changes were. But even still, I think we need to appreciate them all once again. We received a brand new landmass to explore and exploit. Powder monkeys and their ocean-based pirate raids now wanted to explore and exploit us and our inventories. Bananas became surface fruit en masse and may have cemented themselves as the best food in all of Don't Starve Together now. Reeds suddenly needed no swamp to contain them. Our own boats not only gained new upgrades, but we also got an entirely new boat to own the boots. Wagstaff messed around and found out as always, with the absolutely incredible unnatural portal being the result of that. And lastly, we ourselves could become a... It was, and is still possibly, one of the most important updates we have ever gotten, everyone. And that is going beyond the gameplay experience as well. But since we won't actually know any of the full implications of this thing until probably later this year, I suppose we should probably still focus on that gameplay side of things, right? Because I didn't even mention the hostile flare and its incredible ability to farm Deerclops, MacTusk, and those pirate raids we just mentioned pretty much anytime you want. How we can create literal boat caravans that auto-navigate themselves with those autopilot beacons and all that nonsense. How docks, cannons, and bumpers have altered seafaring and our just basic relationship with the water for the game forever. How the introduction of Polly Rogers was completely random, but now we have a new follower in this game that is tied to noggin toppers and will literally do all the work for you. And oh yeah, Wonky. Didn't even talk about Wonky, who is essentially a new character this year without actually being a new character. Sprinkle in some of the extra stuff like how cacti became renewable for the first time ever through world regrowth in this update, and how maybe Pearl's Bottle Exchange got a permanent sale that we can still experience to this day. And yeah, the Curse of Moonkey might actually be the definitive content update of this year. Especially when the only other content update of the year wasn't much of anything by its lonesome, and ironically enough, that itself caused its own drama for a time. Still, we saw the introduction of 2 new guaranteed set pieces for our worlds, had the pleasure of discovering and watching 43 plus unique plays on Charlie's stage that also came with some not half bad loot occasionally, witnessed major lore developments told through in-game tweaks to existing Marvel set pieces, which is actually really awesome, and plenty more. A little drama was certainly little, But hey, Quay did say at the very start of the year that they would be quote-unquote setting the stage this year, and if this ain't it, I don't know what is. It's okay. Nothing grand, sure, and certainly nothing to get super far into, but it's exactly that. Setting the stage for what's to come this year. But I will say this, it's pretty crazy to me that the only 2 content updates that we got throughout this year not only came so late into this year, but there were also only numbering in the 2s. This year was absolutely very unusual in that regard, especially when compared to the previous years. But here's the thing, there's only 1 rework left, and it's coming in like a week or 2. So that means Quay has all of 2023 to fill with something. So why not fill it with a whole mess of content updates, am I right? Content updates that I'm guessing are gonna be probably wrapping up the game as we know it, especially on the lore side. But we'll get more into that once the roadmap is here. Oh, but how could I forget that they have all of 2023 to also add more quality of life tweaks, obviously, because who doesn't enjoy quality of life releases? We do so much, in fact, that we're literally ending our year in review with just that. An October quality of life release that went above and beyond once again, because of course it did. Beefalo taming became even easier with the introduction of a couple crockpot dishes actually dedicated to our horny friends. We ourselves gained 3 new foods of the egg variety. Tallbirds witnessed a near total refresh of their mechanics and eggs themselves. Sleeping got buffed across the board. That got a rework. This got a rework. Everything got a rework. And that pretty much is it. No, that's pretty much it, everybody. That's the gist. While March's quality of life update was massive and changed so much, it still was quite focused on what it wanted to do. This quality of life update changed everything, and the main focus was food and tall birds. That's it. 6 new turfs, some craftable, mostly down in the ruins, others dug up, mostly down in the ruins, but don't forget about Charlie's stage. 2 new Beefalo crockpot dishes, both of which make domestication easier, and 1 is incredibly easy to make. 2 new egg dishes ourselves, 1 also quite easy to make, also pretty good. The tall Scotch eggs, ridiculous recipe. Can't believe that thing never got nerfed. Tall bird refresh. Laying time is now 3 to 5 days, which is the 1 nerf. But tall bird eggs were now in the loot stash, which actually might be considered a nerf by some of you, but still, the nests are now guaranteed to generate in the world, and newly grown birds now create new nests, only on rocky turf though, and not when aggroed. Still, major buffs. Fires drop charcoal when being fully fueled and when they run out of fuel. Recipe cards can be found in graves, tumbleweeds, sunken chests, etc. Ice cream is now a goodie. Wait for players rejoice. The turf razor helm, meaning a new boss drop and a quality of life update. The golden pitchfork. The sleeping refresh, which means increased durability for tents and siestas, better healing for Walter stuff, and even the basic sleeping roll, and temperature control. Too much to handle. And we're not even done yet. Tess's new survivor boons related to farming, fishing, you name it. There was a Warley buff for Pete's sake. No, not kidding. Skitter squids now always drop a light bulb. The lunar experiment works on lobsters and birds. Possibly one of the biggest changes ever. Raw birch nuts can now be used in crockpots, also huge. Tin fishing bin buffs. It got more uses and can be placed on docks. Pearl's house got all of its stages changed when it comes to crafting. Insane that, again, this is a quality of life update. The cartographer's desk converts stuff into papyrus. I can't even speak it so much. And lazy foragers are also refuelable now. Wow. Okay. Crazy. But you know what's even crazier, and I'm very glad I remembered this. There were 2 tiny little random quality of life things that Quay just dropped out of nowhere, not related to any of these big updates. One they just did recently, where they buffed the Houndius Shootius, meaning they won't kill each other anymore. One they dropped many months ago that added the fencing sword. And then that very same week, I think, they added a hot fix to this little thing that made it where traps automatically reset themselves now. But this year has been nuts. I can't believe we kept up with all these changes. What do I even say? I mean, like I said, I've done my best to keep you all informed on all of this, and I can't believe we actually did it, to be honest. This is so much. I got nothing more to say apart from The Curse of Moon Key is incredible. I enjoyed what little drama it gave us, and the quality of life things were absolutely game-changing, amazing tweaks that we will feel forever at this point. And wow, I'm just say this. 2022 was absolutely the year of the refresh. If you don't believe me, go watch our refresh year in review. This year, though, this is going to be a year of content updates, and holy crap, I don't think we're ready. I don't think we're ready, and I am ready, though, to experience it all with you starting very, very soon. We got a roadmap on the horizon and the Wilson rework this month. So I'll see you all for them soon. Doing too much talking. I'm done. It's 2023. New year, same beard. Hopefully some things change, but I'm going to be here together, sharing information on this game, doing my best. Let's do it together, folks. I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.